You're still watching Good Morning Nigeria. We're live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Well, yesterday was a public holiday in Nigeria, and today still is a public holiday. But regardless, we have business news, and here is our correspondent, Comfort Amodu.
The National Pension Commission says 20 pension fund administrators have scaled through the 5 billion naira pension industry recapitalization exercise, which deadline was April 27, 2022. The Commission in April last year announced an increase in the minimum share of capital of pension fund administrators from 1 billion to 5 billion naira. The PENCOM gave the operators 12 months to meet the new capital regime, and the exercise, according to PENCOM, became expedient as the value of pension fund assets under management and custody had grown exponentially from 3 trillion naira in 2012, when the previous recapitalization was done, to 12.29 trillion naira as of December 31, 2020. In another development, the African Development Bank says it will work with microfinance banks to expand support for micro, small and medium enterprises and deepen financial inclusion in Nigeria through increased uptake of financial technology tools. President AFDB Akinwumi Adesina disclosed this in Abuja while speaking at the 7th yearly symposium of the Nigerian microfinance platform. Adesina, who was represented by the Director General AFDB Nigerian Country Office, Lamin Barrow, said microfinance and MSMEs are key to the economy and job creation, which is at the core of the bank and poverty reduction. With business news, Comfort Amodu.
Well, thank you, Comfort, for the business package. And next on Good Morning Nigeria, newspaper review.
Toyobe is right here with us in the studios, and he's still in the Eid mood, just like it was yesterday. Bayo, good morning and welcome.
Thank you, Kinsley. Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning,
Baraka de
Salah to you too. Good morning, Nigeria, and Baraka de Salah.
Okay. We have two papers this morning, the Blueprint and the Punch. Let's begin by taking a look at the front page of the Blueprint newspaper. WPFD, sometimes some of our sub-editors use abbreviations, acronyms, without spelling them out. But WPFD means World Press Freedom Day. That's the kicker. Media freedom under attack in Nigeria. That's according to the NGE. NGE meaning Nigerian Guild of Editors. So Nigerian Guild of Editors is saying media freedom under attack in Nigeria. Two writers to that. IPI, International Press Institute, documents 356 freedom attacks amidst Russian-Ukraine war. We are committed to press freedom, 95% digital literacy by 2030. That's according to the federal government. The list story says, I will hand over to Nigerians' elected choice in 2023 as President Muhammadu Buhari and others security chiefs to eliminate terrorists and secure the country. See 2023 as opportunity for peaceful coexistence, Sultan tells Nigerians, urges citizens to accept any presidential mandate as a last choice. And the photograph you see there on the front page, the photograph is of President Muhammadu Buhari and First Lady Aisha Buhari with some of their children, grandchildren, and other relations during the Salah homage to the president in Abuja yesterday. 2023, again, we have another acronym, SMBLF. There should be Southern and Middle Belt Leaders Forum, Capets Ango Abdullahi, and others over zoning. Hold PDP responsible if Southeast fails to get ticket. That's Okechukwu, DG, Voice of Nigeria. Federal government to rake in $2.06 billion revenue from new projects. And on page 5, Kaduna, Shiites allege loss of member and arrest of 78 others by police. Tougher months ahead for Nigeria, an inflation rate to hit 16.1%. That's according to IMF. Victims of Kaduna train attack will return safely and reunite with families. That's President Buhari giving the assurance there. May Day, Oyetola's approval of 7 demands excites Osun workers. And AFDB, that's African Development Bank, Afrexim, AFC, and others to help Africa survive food and energy crisis. That's Moody. That is Moody's, one of the rating agencies. Workers' Day, aviation unions lament political interference. Set for showdown. Here.
All right, now let's turn to the Punch newspaper for this morning. Above the nameplate of the Punch newspaper, Nigeria's crude oil crashed by 1.2 million barrels in April. That's according to OPEC. That's on page 21. Eid al-Fitr, security beefed up as Buhari prays in military barracks on page 7. Striking ASU members shouldn't be paid. That's according to the federal government. It's on page 6. National Assembly workers reject staggered arrears payment. Issue strike notice. It's on page 21. Now, the lead story on the Punch, APC may field northern candidates awaits a PDP primary. With 2 riders, presidential ticket, God will show us the way, says Lawan. Blame PDP if North retains power, says APC chieftain. And below the photo story on the Punch newspaper, which showed Durbar and other activities to mark the festival that we're in, that's Eid al-Fitr, exactly. And below that, we have other stories. Ganduje pardons 90 inmates in Kano. It's on page 11. Nigeria, Morocco plan world's longest offshore gas pipeline. It's on page 24. 700 companies jostle for 12 billion naira railway projects on page 22. Mike Grouse will Tambuwal, Saraki, other northern PDP presidential aspirants. Wike on page 14. Tears as copper 9 tenants die in Lagos building collapse. Buhari laments. It's on pages 4 and 5. 44% of Nigerian firms paid hackers ransom in 2021. That's according to a report. It's on page 22. Let's begin by you now.
Thank you, Kyria. Yes, indeed, rescue operations at the collapsed 3-story building in Lagos have recovered 10 bodies, including them a member of the National Youth Service Corps. The papers report that the rescue operations reached ground zero about 6:30 p.m. yesterday. 24 persons were rescued alive. Among them, 2 of them are currently in hospital receiving and are said to be stable receiving treatment. However, others of the 24 have been discharged. Among those recovered bodies are 6 male and 4 female. Among them, a 68-year-old mother known as Mama Tahir and his son. This information about the structure indicate that the building was built about 20 years ago and has not been handed over by the developer, and it was occupied by 20 families. The building was noted to be in distress, and when, according to the secretary, who is a secretary of the family owner of the property, said that when quit notices were given to members of occupying the structure to quit so that they can attend to it, he said the people went to court and brought a lawsuit that stopped them from evacuating them. Unfortunately, the building went down. One side development comprises of 2 persons. One of them had paid for an alternative accommodation and was waiting for a day to evacuate before the building came down. I don't think he survived that. Meanwhile, President Muhammad Buhari has expressed pain over the collapse of the 3-story building. He says, while he commiserates with the families who lost loved ones, as well as those who were injured, he has called on all relevant state authorities to work with professional bodies to halt these unfortunate, preventable incidents. Still talking about President Muhammad Buhari, while receiving homage for Eid al-Fitr yesterday, the president says that there are efforts to ensure that the safe return of all persons who are being held by terrorists. He was speaking about persons abducted from the Kaduna-bound train and showed that with the families of the abducted, that government will explore every opportunity to secure the captives alive and unhurt. While receiving guests on solar homage, the president lamented that he had directed security agencies to ensure that they are safely rescued. He said it is difficult to crush the bandits because they are using the captives as human shield. But nevertheless, we are concerned and with the families. And he says he has directed that the Nigeria Railway Corporation should establish a situation room where members of the families will be briefed about development. He says government does not want any kind of tragic outcome in the process of rescuing, but he assured that efforts are underway to ensure that they are rescued. Talking about Salah, the Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Saad Abubakar III, has called on politicians to allow peace to reign in the country. He says in their effort to carry out activities of the election in the 2023 campaign, politicians should make peace with politics and faith and show that there is love for one another. He enjoined them to ensure that none of their supporters are involved in breaching the peace and the unity of Nigeria, while enjoining them to hold on to the preachings of the Ramadan and the lessons learned from it. He urged Nigerians to live peacefully with one another, adding, whoever emerges after the 2023 election is the determination by the Almighty Allah. There is a great opportunity to ensure that all of us are living in the best condition and to live peacefully with one another. The other story of dominance, which Kingsley read earlier on, is the activities marking the World Press Freedom Day, for which the Nigerian Guild of Editors has raised concern and says that press freedom, the freedom for the independent press, is under attack. The Nigeria Guild of Editors say that government at all levels need to be reminded that free and independent press can help to keep the people informed. It had also hold leaders accountable as well as provide essential democracy that will help sustain the polity. It says the responsibility of a free press for fair election cannot be overemphasized, and therefore government must do all it can to allow independent free press. There is need to protect the media from suffocating the economic and political atmosphere that pervades our democracy. Meanwhile, some publications tend to take press freedom for granted and publish information that actually should not be in public domain. Yesterday, we recall that one paper published about information about electronic devices that are helping to track activities of criminals along the Kaduna-Abuja highway. Such information, but is put in the public domain, put the activities of the security agencies in peril, because the criminals too are monitoring the media.
But how did they get the information in the first place, to publish it?
Put in the public domain that Kaduna State government has acquired technology that will enable it to track activities of criminals on the highway. That is not journalistically very responsible. And so some of these activities need to be checked.
I agree with you, Bayo, that that's not the right thing to do. But how they acquire the information is immaterial. What is material is you have the information. What is your responsibility?
Yes.
That you need to handle with a great deal of care. And that responsibility is to withhold such information. It's not everything that the journalist gets that you put out in the public domain. When you start giving details of your new acquisitions, where you are deploying them to, you are simply telling criminals or those who intend to be an affront to the law to say, bypass whatever they have at that material time, because there is no security apparatus or equipment that you have that will give you total coverage at any material time. And we have seen also the dispersal of criminal elements when they are hit hard in some location. They tend to move
to another location.
And we know what has been happening on the Abuja-Kaduna expressway, especially now that there are no train services between the two major cities. I think that some restraint is called for.
Yes. There ought to be a symbiotic relationship, that of trust between the media and those in power. When such information comes, editors could be called and briefed about what is going on, but it is for their information only, not to be put in the public domain to endanger the activities of security agents who are trying to secure you and I.
But globally, if there is an intelligence, or rather a plan by the military hierarchy on how to tackle insurgency or terrorists or what have you, they don't need to give out the information to any pressman in the first place. Because in today's world, when it comes to journalism, I mean, some say, look, be the first to know. We'll let you know what is happening. So journalists will say, okay, fine, let me take this. I will sell, because it will make for good sales for a newspaper, for instance. So the best thing is not to reveal such information, because it's a top secret. It's a top secret. I know that globally speaking, that many countries who are engaged in fighting terrorism and what have you don't reveal their plans. They don't tell anybody about the plans that they have. Otherwise, it is bound to fail. That is what we are talking about. But again, like you said, journalists should also be responsible enough to know what to publish.
Right. This is another star story coming from Lagos. A teacher has been arrested at Ibejuleki, Lagos, for defiling a 8-year-old people in the school. How did this happen? The girl fell sick, and they took the girl to the hospital. And from the hospital, they noticed that the girl has developed infection. On being probed, they found out that on 2 occasions, the class teacher has taken the poor 8-year-old girl to a back door in the classroom and assaulted the girl. And the good thing is that the police in Lagos have arrested the teacher, and he is now being investigated for the purposes of being prosecuted.
Well, the teacher should have a name. The teacher should also have a face. We know that, unfortunately, these incidents of pedophilia are getting on the increase. What is required, Bayo, is not, in my opinion, reporting the incident as it is now. There ought to be follow-up stories. Once the suspect is arraigned in court, there should be stories. And once the trial is proceeding, there should be stories. And once a decision is given by the court, the story should also be published. Mm-hmm. And we hope and wish that there will be expedited trials of issues of this nature. This is not the kind of trial that should drag on for so long a time with adjournments and all kinds of things. Sometimes some persons will call for summary trials for incidents of this nature, Kyria.
Yes, exactly now, because this issue of defiling minors is on the increase. And I can't understand how an adult could go this far, believing that he was not going to be caught. Now he is caught. As Kinsley said, look, we should follow such stories, from start to finish.
Well, there's a name put to it. His name is Francis Ibikule. But we always will want to assume that until somebody is proved guilty in a court of law, he's supposed to be assumed innocent. But be that as it may, there has been a policy of naming pedophiles and rapists as a policy of to name and shame.
He is a suspect, and the suspect has been arrested. And that is the name that you have provided by, which is appropriate.
Oh, it's appropriate.
Yes.
You're a suspect, yes, but you have a name.
You have a name.
And you have a face.
The suspect is not nameless. Then the next thing is, we hope after the holidays you put him in the dock. Exactly. And of course you prepare your case file properly, so that the proofs of evidence and everything is there. So some of these things, as you said, Kira, that we're having an epidemic of pedophilia and rape, and we do hope that the law will respond appropriately to these instances. Another story, we can't take that now, but you recall we raised it near the close of last week. The murder, ritual murder, it turns out, of a youth club member, a female youth club member, here in Abuja. If you recall, she was declared missing in the Lokogoma area, and her body was eventually found somewhere in Maitama or around the city center with vital organs missing from the badly mutilated body.
Yes, the curious thing is that she got missing with a child.
With
She
a
was
child,
carrying a
yes,
child.
yes.
They found the child, and it was days later before they found her body at Metama.
So what is it that the police have found out so far since her body was recovered? Maya Chebe, thank you very much for
Thank you.
us. We'll see you again tomorrow. All right, it's Good Morning Nigeria. We're live on NTA's network service. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll be dealing with our issues on labor, politics, good governance, and other related matters.
Wake up the champion in your child. Give them energy to go further. Milo Active Go and the natural goodness of malt, milk, and cocoa helps wake up the champion in your child.
A new edition of TV Guide is out, exclusively with Professor Umar Garba Dambata, Executive Vice Chairman of the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC.
We have unveiled the 622 as a toll-free line through which consumers can be able to lodge their complaints. And we have introduced the 112 as the national emergency number.
This edition is a compendium of mind-blowing stories for your reading pleasure, ranging from technology, entertainment, economy, media, politics, family, and lots more. Pick up your copy and get abreast with issues and trending features within our space. TV Guide, very incisive, very educative and compelling. Grab a copy at the vendor near you or any NTA station nationwide. TV Guide, your indispensable companion. As the 2023 elections draw near, remember, evil prospers when good men and women only wish for peace, but never take a step to make peaceful elections happen. Are you a father? Are you a mother? What are you saying to your children as elections approach? Have you warned them not to let themselves be used to cause violence? Have you explained to them what the consequences of electoral violence might be? Do your part to make peaceful elections happen. Talk to your children. Protect them from unscrupulous politicians who want to put them in harm's way, while their own children are comfortable at home, within, and outside the country. Let's join hands to make 2023 elections peaceful. This message is from the National Orientation Agency, NOAA.
The Council of Our Fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
The broadcast media ecosystem is dynamic and requires continuous training for practitioners to perform optimally. NTA Television College Jos invites relevant officers to the following specially packaged training programs: Protocol Event Management and Public Relations, date 2nd May to 13th May 2022, 2 weeks. Video Camera Maintenance, date 16th May to 27th May 2022, 2 weeks. Basic Television Production Techniques, date 16th May to 10th June 2022, 4 weeks. Photojournalism and Photography, date 6th June to 1st July 2022, 4 weeks. Intermediate Online News Reporting Skills, date 4th July to 29th July 2022, 4 weeks. Sports Coverage and Reporting Skills in the Mass Media, date 4th July to 15th July 2022, 2 weeks. The course fee for 2 weeks courses is 150,000 Naira per participant, while the fee for 4 weeks courses is 180,000 Naira only, accommodation inclusive. The venue for all courses is the serene and secure environment of NTA Television College near Old Government House, Rayfield, Jos. For more inquiries, please call 0803-079-5335 or 0806-980-9807. NTA Television College, Jos, training you to be the best you want to be.
It's Good Morning Nigeria, and we are live still on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, Africa's largest television network. Before we begin our conversation segment, let's listen into this background put together by correspondent Oyemi Ajayi.
Iṣẹ́ Ishe in the Yoruba dialect means work, and as the late hip-hop icon Sound Sultan has put it in his lyrics, without work, there is no pay. This is also corroborated with another Nigerian musician, Adekunle Gold, when he emphasized the importance of work. In Nigeria, with a number of tribes, none underrates the value of hard work, as it is believed to be the only way to success and prospect for a brighter future. But how sad can it be when the work or effort isn't commensurative with the pay?
Instead of addressing issues of physical security, addressing issues of social protection, issues of decent wages, unemployment and poverty eradication, fixing the economy, our political elite comrades are more interested in the political office zoning.
This has been a long-time battle between the Nigerian organized labor unions and the federal government. Over the years, different workers' unions have embarked on industrial action to sound their demands into the ears of the government, but still, few or none of these demands are actually attended to or met. The organized labor had cited the collapse of some institutions and organizations due to unfavorable working conditions, which includes non-conducive environment and non-commiserative salaries and wages. The incessant strike actions, especially that of recent Academic Staff Union of Universities and other academic unions, have lingered for months, affecting academic calendar and are said to have serious effect on not just the students, but the economy entirely. They have also accused the politicians not to care as long as their children are abroad, funding them from the money which these workers worked for. With the jumbo pay apportioned to the politicians and the vast wealth amassed in their course of service, many are of the view that these workers deserve better wages, as they are referred to as the engine room of every nation. Many have asked the possibility of ending incessant strikes in the country, with the government paying attention to the workers. These are issues and questions begging for answers, and in a short while, guests will be answering these shortly.
Well, thank you, Oyemi Ajayi, for that report. And joining us in the studio to discuss the topic, first we have Dr. Ayo Lorunfemi, Chairman, Political Commission, Trade Union Congress. Good morning and welcome to the program. All right, and we also have Emma Ubuaja, MNI, General Secretary, NLT. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and also part of this conversation this morning, joining us via Zoom, Comrade Issa Aremu. He is the Director General of the Michael Imodu Institute of Labor Studies in Ilorin, Kwara State. Comrade Issa Aremu, pleasure to have you with us on the program today.
Well, it's a pleasure to be part of this program. Let me say happy May Day and happy Salah in arrears to all the Nigerian workers.
All right. So, gentlemen, once again, our pleasure to have you with us for today's conversation. 48 hours ago, May Day was celebrated, and the labor movement, of course, gave a stirring speech on that occasion relating to the condition of workers and what their expectations are in the Nigerian economy first, and also in the Nigerian polity. Well, John, let's begin by first having your assessment of what you think and believe the fate of the Nigerian worker is today, and where that might lead us, if not reversed or if not accelerated.
Well, clearly for us, it should be better. We are not where we expect to be. We are not where we want to be. And that's why we have tried to do some soul searching. We've tried to look back and see where we're coming from, and try to verify whether there are things we should have done differently. And clearly for us, we've come to the conclusion that for us to have a better set of working conditions, we then need to get very political. So while you were saying both economic or political challenge, for us now is seeking the kingdom of politics, and then the rest can be added onto us. We had looked up to people for too long, and we've gotten the wrong end of the stick. So we are determined now to take our destiny in our own hands. The era of saying you can't put workers' resources in political party or political engagement is gone. We fortunately have a legal position that says workers can be members of political parties. In other words, they should be able to go seek from the beginning what should be the direction that will guarantee their welfare, that will help put a better set of conditions for them. So that's where we're headed. And that's why the theme of this year's May Day is the workers' quest for good governance, political engagement, and then national development. So our heads are clear now where we should be headed, and that's where we're going.
All right, Dr. Lauren, let's get your own take. I understand that when it comes to labor relationship with government, it has always been, there's always been a face-off, right? In all dimensions. Considering not just the federal workers, but also workers at the state level. So, what's the situation at the moment? Are we making progress with respect to what should be the position of workers in Nigeria today?
Thank you very much. I think we are even worse off. As far as the industrial relation is concerned. The government of the day is not really interested in industrial harmony. So what you see is adversarial approach to industrial relations. The government will take its position and use power and in most cases avoidance and say, look, when they are tired, they will go back to work. You can see that in the way government has been managing the ASU strike. Of course, this will not take us to anywhere other than taking us back into the wood. We are already in the wood and groping in the dark in the wood. Just like my brother have said, we don't want to continue to lament. Politics control the type of job we do, the type of salary we earn, the type of education our children get, the type of home or house or wherever we want to live. Politics controls it. So if politics controls all of these things, then there's something they call political economy. And that is why we are now singing from a new song. We don't want to lament again. We want to take the bull by the horns. We want to take our destiny in our hands. And it's a paradox that few individuals in this country has taken the entire country as hostage. Nigerian workers, both former and informal workers in Nigeria, have been taken hostage by these few individuals who have cornered the entire means of economy into their side. And we are saying, look, we do not want to continue to lament over this. We want to take decisive action and step. And we are already moving. The NSC, the TUC, we are moving towards taking over political power in 2023, and we have quality leaders who can drive us to that promised land.
Okay, Dr. Lauren Femi, thanks. We'll come back to you. Let's bring you now, Comrade Issa Aremu. Comrade Issa Aremu, organized labor, as it were, is throwing down the gauntlet and saying, well, it must also get into the political space actively and not just being on the sidelines. What frustrations have brought about this new change in attitude?
Well, once again, Kingsley Kiri, to you, I want to also appreciate my co-discussant, Comrade Ima, the General Secretary of NLC, as well as Dr. Ayo. And to you, let me say once again, happy May Day belatedly to all Nigerian workers. And I'm this also on behalf of my Honorable Minister of Labor, Supervising Minister Festus Keyamo, as well as the governing board of Michael Imodu National Institute for Labor Studies. I was part of the celebration on Sunday, and I want to appreciate the two labor centers, NLC and TUC, their respective leadership for keeping faith with the tradition of Nigerian workers to celebrate the dignity of labor on May 1st. I mean, you need to be at the Eagle Square and know that we have one of the best organized labor movements in Africa, if not the best, as a matter of fact. The one for this year, I think, is a continuation of celebration of lives and livelihoods. For 2 years running, you remember that 2019, I think a man will bear witness that we had virtual May Day. In all my career in the trade union movement, spanning almost about 4 decades, May Day used to be outdoor affair, but because of COVID-19 pandemic, it was virtual May Day. The almost 103 years of, or 130 years of May Day celebration worldwide. COVID locked everybody down. So on Sunday, it was a celebration of the May Day as we used to have it, and it was quite colorful. Again, as I said, it was a celebration of dignity of labor, frontline workers, health workers, media workers like you. I know what it takes to be at the studio, and I know Kyria and Osadolo, you deserve your minimum and maximum wages, working under tight conditions for the world to know what is going on. Now, I think on the team, I'm quite excited that both the NSC and TUC, they are, in addition to very good job they are doing addressing the issue of at workplace, issue of collective bargaining, grievance handling, they are also facing issue about good governance. And the theme of this year is very, very, very timely. Very, very timely, and I think very thoughtful. Because whatever unions are doing, and they are doing very good job in that respect. I mean, I think we have close to 5 minimum wage legislation in this country today. Organized labor made that possible since 1981. They also make sure they enforce the implementation of the law. Labor unions have been tried very hard to promote decent work, making work less precarious. They've been fighting against bad employers who perpetrate all sorts of unfair labor practices. But whatever labor is doing in that respect, this effort will not be sustainable until we have good governance. As Comrade Ayuba, the president of NSC, articulated in his speech, long time ago, trade unions have realized that we can't defend our members if we are not concerned about participation in political process. And Michael Imodu, was the #1 labor man who first of all started the struggle for protection of workers' rights, the one that my institute has been named after. He led the first, 45-day strike against British colonial employers who are not paying railway workers very well. He became the pioneer president of National Union of Railwaymen. But he came to realize that with all the struggle he had waged, and he waged a lot of struggle, strikes, that these unions have limitation unless unionists and unions also participate in political process. And he was part of the NCNC, the National Council for Nigeria and the Cameroons. I think Osadolo, you remember that the first pioneer labor movement, a political party. He was part of that struggle that led to independence because he realized that workers will not get a good deal under British colonial rule unless we also have independence. And that paid off. We got independence in 1960, and Nigeria proclaimed a constitution that guaranteed human and trade union rights, which colonialism never guaranteed. Then, of course, you also know the role of labor in fighting for democracy. And I think it's timely now that NSC is also doing that because under military dictatorship, labor suffered, just like the entire Nigeria suffered. unions were dissolved, some unionists were jailed for fighting for trade union rights. So it's in the best interest of labor movement to fight for consolidation of democracy. And I'm excited that we now have 22 or 23 years of uninterrupted democratic process. All we need to do is to do that quality control. And the last quick one I want to raise in this respect is that no group of people can talk better about political process and democratic process than the trade union movements. Because trade unions are inherently democratic organizations. Ima will bear me witness to say that NLC has kept faith with its constitution. I think the last delegate conference, I don't know whether I get it right, should be 12th Congress of the NLC, 11th or 12th, which means NLC has been practicing democracy, electing national executive officials. They abide by their constitution, and I think I've participated in most of the delegate conference of NLC. I mean, of course, I used to be former vice president, and I bear witness that when you go to NLC conferences, I guess it applies to TUC, to another athlete, conferences are about issues, about the plight of the workers, the state of the economy, the state of the nations. Election only takes just decimal part of the Congress. So I want to say that in the quest for good governance, labor should now, bring to the political class to learn what labor has been doing over the years. Peaceful transition of elections. They make issues to be issues. I mean, they make conferences to be about issues. I mean, I've had a lot of candidates now. In spite of the prices of the fees for nomination forms, we now have scores of candidates. But Kiri, if you ask me and Osadelo, I don't know what they stand for. What are the issues? President Buhari has been doing a very good job to see how to mitigate the issue of insecurity. We don't know what programs these candidates have. I think those are the areas I want Labour as part of the team to be in political process to bring to bear. So this is the few remarks I thought I should make at this time. Thank you very much.
Okay, Isaremu, thank you for giving us that historical, perspective and what Labour has been able to achieve so far from the Imodu era. Now back to the studio. There is this aspect of this conversation that has really excited me, and that's the aspect of Labour wanting to be actively involved in politics. We used to have a Labour Party in this country, which I thought then that Labour was actively behind that move, but it fizzled out, and the party actually saw a former Labour man in power as governor of Edo State at that point. Because all of a sudden, it fizzled out. Secretary, how do you intend to do this? Is it not late in the day for Labour to now become active in party politics, to be able to be part of the force that will determine how Labour is handled and dealt with in Nigeria as a nation? How are you going to go about this? Are you going to form a political party, or are you going to join a political party, or is it just to ask your members to come out en masse to vote for whoever is the choice of Labour?
Thank you very much. Clearly, the Labour Party was formed by the Nigerian Labour Congress in cohort with the Trade Union Congress, and clearly at the takeoff, even the operations were domiciled in the headquarters of Nigerian Labour Congress. Along the line, like I hinted, the pressure of the mentality that workers shouldn't be actively engaged in politics led to a couple of unforced errors, or you can term them forced errors, because we're then careful not to get workers deeply involved in the party, and we're now looking for third parties that could help us manage our house. And you know what happens when you put tenants in your house. Clearly the attitude is different from when you live in your house and maintain your house. So now we have cleared the hurdle of whether workers should be engaged in politics as of right. Now it's an open secret that we can live in our house and manage our house by ourselves. That's why we have retrieved the Labour Party from the outsiders that were in it, that made it clearly impossible for workers to genuinely identify with it, because most of the actions that were then taken by the tenants were clearly not with the consent of the landlord. So we have managed to get our party back. And you would have noticed at the May Day, the Labour Party chair for the first time was able to be in attendance and was clearly there, buoyed by the workers, in good terms with the workers. The current chair was a former Central Working Committee member of the NLC. He was a president of one of our affiliates, the Postal Workers Union. So we feel we are in a better position now to drive the process. But even before now, in not being too sure what we're going to do, we tried to see if we will also borrow, because we're not reinventing the wheel. There have been collaborations in South Africa. You have the ANC in cohort with COSATU, our brothers or similar organization in South Africa, and they've driven the process. You will have the same in most of the Nordic countries. We've had that in Zambia. So clearly, we weren't going to reinvent the wheel if we chose to start searching for coalition partners. So we had taken off by convoking a conference of political conference of the workers, and we ended up with a charter that we said would be minimum in engaging with the political process, because we're tired of people using and dumping us. People come in and then they tell you we didn't know it was this bad, because there was no deep interrogation of issues at the moment. So going to 2023, nobody is going to come and tell us he doesn't know how bad it is. You spend 100 million to go and acquire what you don't know how bad it is. It doesn't make sense. Because of the attitude for workers. We don't want to live above our means. It's clearly ridiculous for you to know what the income is, what your wage will be, and then you go and buy employment form that is 4 times above your wage. Then clearly you're not going there to earn the wage. You're going there to steal, put plainly. So, and that is what we don't want to encourage. So we're having a party now that you don't have to spend more than you're going to earn. The standard is, the maximum you can do is pay 10% of what your annual income should be in trying to service such a situation. So we know it's not going to be easy. But of course, nothing has been gained by the workers without a struggle. From the Comedisa tried to identify the history behind the May Day celebration. It was a struggle to try to get a decent working timing for the worker, and it was a tough one. Blood was shed, lives were lost, but people were able to achieve 8 hours a day formal working period. So nothing we have ever gotten, we got on a platter of gold. So going into the political arena, we are not expecting it to be a tea party. But you don't have a better organized set of people than the working people, because to get into a union, we do it by organizing, to process our grievances, to process our demands. We do it through organizing. So if there is one set of Nigerians that should be able to organize themselves into a formidable force in what they choose to do,
Are you going to
be the Nigerian workers.
Are you going to field candidates at different levels of governance in terms of councillors, government chairmen?
People don't form political parties to attend church service. You form them to field candidates for elective positions. For each elective position that comes to play, following the Nigerian timetable, of course, the Nigerian working people will field candidates. The ones that will be coming up now will be the House of Assembly, the governorship, the rep, Senate, the presidency. Of course, we'll contest every inch of the way. And is to put the record straight so that people will stop passing the buck. If we put a candidate that says he can solve the challenge of education and remove the incessant strikes in the education system, and then in imagination, people feel they prefer those that keep our students and our children at home, then it will be the choice of Nigerians. But we're going to provide that alternative. We're going to provide the alternative that will have our hospitals work, because we are the ones working in there. The nurses, the medical and health workers are the ones there. So if we provide that alternative and people prefer the people that have kept us where we are, then it will be clearly the choice of Nigerians. But what we want to make sure is that that alternative is provided, and we are determined to provide that alternative. We know what the issues are. We know where the shoe has been pinching, but they've not been listening to us. So rather than keep crying, we say we are putting ourselves up to be able to deliver what we know is possible. So clearly for us, that is the challenge we have. We intend to contest every step of the way. And we know that there are Nigerians that agree with us. We know there are Nigerians that identify with us. We know there are brilliant Nigerians. Just like Issa was trying to get across to Kingsley to get confirmation with regards to knowledge. We know knowledgeable Nigerians that are being kept away from the process. So we will also seek out the quality Nigerians that we know that can help drive the process where it's needed. We won't have a government that goes importing vehicles when we are struggling and we know we can have things done here. If you recall, in February, the American president gave his State of the Nation address, and you would have thought it was a labor leader speaking. He was the one advocating for a national minimum wage increase in his country. He wasn't the president of the American Federation of Labor. He was the American president appealing to Congress that he wanted the minimum wage to move to $17 an hour. He wasn't the labor that was making that campaign. He was the American president saying they want to engage in producing and consuming America. He wasn't the labor movement. He wasn't the labor president. So clearly we want to push a government that will believe in Nigeria, not a government that will have us, even if it's raw assembly. You assemble vehicles here and you would rather buy the ones that are imported. We want people whose medical history will be here in Nigeria. We want people who will have, even in crude village times, no village carried their traditional ruler to another village for treatment. Even when you say the best native doctor, they will rather go kidnap that native doctor and bring him to their village. So in modern times, it's ridiculous that we're doing things that don't have any basis at all. So we need to have a country that works, and we know we have the capacity to do it. You challenge Nigerian medical personnel, but people are driving, trooping here, parking aeroplanes to move away medical people that people pretend are not worth the wages that asking for. That cannot be true. We have qualified manpower here who are demanded all over the world, but they are not being appreciated there. And then we are ferrying our monies across out of Nigeria. That is what we have watched happen over time, and we don't want it to continue. So clearly for us, we have the capacity to drive it. We know that the Nigerian people have been crying, looking for this. Each time they tell you what has Labour said, we don't want to say anymore. We want to act. So it's not going to be what has Labour said. Why has Labour not spoken to government? We want to be the government.
Okay, Comrade Imam Waja, thank you very much for the comments that you have made. Labour, of course, is getting now into the political arena, and as Nigerians would say in local parlance, politics is rough. In other words, Comrade Waja says there's an acknowledgement that partisan politics isn't a tea party in the country. It's a very tough environment. And so now that you transition from your core labor activities into partisan politics, as it were, what are the challenges that you foresee going forward? Because isn't there the chance that government of the day will now begin to misconstrue your every agitation as an opportunity to oust them from power?
Thank you. We don't see that as challenge at all. Just like Imam put it, we live every day of our life in struggles. And We know quite well that the ruling party or the other political parties that are not having the same ideological leaning with Labour, we fight very hard, and we are also very ready, very, very ready to fight, with everything we have. Let's look at it from this angle. Value orientation. The kind of youth we have today. Were they the kind of youth, the type of youth you were that I was in the 80s up to the early 90s? Even your children today, you give birth to them, they're already thinking how to become multi-millionaire, not because they want to work. You can see the incidence of Yahoo and Yahoo Plus. Look at the type of the kind of role model that they are following. Of course, it starts from there. So as workers, as parents, we cannot afford to continue to watch. Look at the petroleum sector. Which country, which business, we have everything that it takes to produce locally, and we still want to prefer importation. Something is wrong. We know something is wrong. And you declare those guys who are resisting it by producing that same product locally, you term them illegal. And you cannot provide the legal framework for them to produce and make their production legitimate when we are dying here as a result of the so-called subsidy and petroleum economy or political economy. There are so many issues that we are looking at. When you look at in terms of ideology, we don't even, our own in Nigeria is not written in any book. You hear about social capitalism like Awolowo we profess. We talk about capitalism, we talk about socialism. In Nigeria, our own is not in any book. You come and say, okay, you want to privatize. You want to engage in public-private partnership. You sold our asset to some criminals. What do? They scrap this asset. The Nigerian textile mill in Lagos or Bakran has been sold. And you will expect that when you sell this asset will, will bounce back and begin.
I'm sorry to interject. There is no evidence that assets that were disposed of by the Nigerian state were sold to, as you claimed, criminals.
Okay, I agree with you, but where is United today? Scrapped and it's gone. Nigerian textile mill is there. It's going now. Go there, they are scrapping it. Who are the class of people that will scrap their parents' assets? The class of people that will destroy what their forefather built simply because they've handed it over to you. Rebuild it. You claim you can do it in the first instance. You claim God hates people who lie. In Nigeria, lying has become our stock in trade. Even government lies. So we cannot continue like this. Government that tell lies. We have two major political parties in Nigeria. How far have they taken us? Two major political parties. All of them are two sides of the same coin. Right now, you have people who are in APC. They have transferred. The APC have transferred to PDP. PDP has also transferred to, we have become a Premier League. That is exactly what we are doing now. So, and that is why we are saying Nigerians should look at these two political parties and realize that they are doing business with their destiny and the destiny of our children and children yet unborn. And because we are the one that wear the shoe, we know where it pinches, and we are saying, look, like he said, if it is health, we know what to do. Education, we know what to do. Manufacturing, we know what to do. Petroleum, we know what to do. And even in bringing people to sanity, because most Nigerians are insane now. Maybe you won't believe it. 95% of Nigerians are insane. If you want to know the level of insanity, go to our road, go to our market. You will see it. We are insane in Nigeria as a result of the kind of trauma that we have suffered in the hands of all these, various governments. Are we continuing? We have not gotten to the level of madness. It is insanity now. But by the time we get to the level of madness, the insecurity you are seeing will become something else. Complete anarchy. The parameter for measuring what we have been saying since morning is the level of insecurity in the country. Now, if your brother, we advise you, sir, if your brother asks you for 20,000 naira, if you don't have, make sure you look for 1,000 and give to him. With pain, let that guy know that with pain you are giving this 1,000. Otherwise, you organize your kidnap.
Not any of my brothers.
I'm giving an example.
Yeah, no, but you are pointing at me.
It has gotten to that level. Nobody is safe. Nobody is safe. The air is not safe. The water is not safe. The road is not safe. The rail is not safe. Nobody is safe. Your house, they go to houses, remove block, go into the house, take you out. In those days, you will stay in your house, armed robbers will come, they will tell you what you have, you give them money. You are traveling at night, you keep 2,000, 5,000 in your pigeon holes. When you meet this guy, you say, sorry, you make an overs. You carry 2,000, I'll say, okay, pack till we finish operation. Then they release you. Now, they will come to your house, pack everybody, take you to the forest. And now, we can still resolve this problem. We know as Labour Party, we will resolve this problem. It's not difficult. We can handle it. And you don't need gun all the time to resolve problems.
All right, thank you. Well, we also know that Labour has its own internal problems when it comes to administration or management, generally speaking. Yeah. We may get to that in the course of this discussion. Yeah. But you people have taken us to the level of believing that our discussion will now center on the paradigm shift, which Labour has engaged in now with respect to getting directly involved in politics. Comrade Aremu, you are listening, I'm sure. Labour says, look, it's time to become part of government. In fact, it's time for us to take the lead in politics. How do you view this? Is it a possibility? Do you foresee a situation where Labour can have its own party that perhaps may have the capacity to win elections at the federal and state levels? What's your take?
Wait, Kiri, I hope you are hearing me. Are you hearing me, Kiri?
We're hearing you. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. I think let me put it this way, that it's not paradigm shift as such. I think it's from my understanding of what historical facts are, this is a continuation of the same tradition of the labor movement. And I think, I went to memory lane down to when Michael Imodu, his other comrades, Wabi Goodluck, HP Abiola, those Ajibola, those pioneer unionists came to the realization that, it's not one or the other, but you need to combine the two, both industrial struggle as well as political struggle. As a matter of fact, the first Labour Party was formed in 1950, and it was pioneered by Michael Imodu himself. Which really was part of the major pioneer political parties that fought for independence. Then when the former military president was putting his political transition in place, Kiri, I'm very sure you will recollect, or Kingsley, when parties were asked to register, with trailer loads of documents and co. By the time military president Babangida shortlisted the number of parties, the Labour Party floated by Nigerian Labour Congress was among the 11 parties. Later, they were dissolved to form one to the left and one to the right. The SDP and NRC. and the labor movement decidedly identify with SDP. So it's part of the continuation of the tradition. And when we return to democratic process, where we floated another party, this time around Party for Social Democracy, which later became Labour Party. And this way, the facts shows that all the pioneer leaders of those parties, they are from trade unions. The first chairman was SOZ Jofor, one of the best unions to come from public sector. The general secretary of Amalgamated Workers Union. We also had the late Salam Absalam, who later even became the chairman of the party, he was the secretary. Then later, Danwaya also came in. Absalam used to be the general secretary of local government employees, one of the biggest unions in Nigeria. Then Danwaya also came from financial institutions. He did NUBIFE, National Union of Banks and Financial Institutions. They all came from trade union movement. But Otadono, you also remember that Comrade Adams Oshomole, after finishing his tenure as two-term president of NSC, went to run for election in Edo. He started with Labour Party. It was an alliance between Labour Party and ACN that produced him as a governorship candidate. Then they brought ACN as deputy. So, and everything Comrade Adams brought to the table in Edo was about his Labour tradition. And you agree with me, he did very well as a Labour governor. He implemented minimum wage, he even paid more than that, such that he was re-elected twice, 18 over 18 in local government. Then after the, politics, as you said, the Osadolo could also be for let me put it that way. It's partisanship is different political process. You also know that Edo, I'm coming, I've forgotten his name now, the former Ondo governor, that's Mimiko, Olusegun Mimiko. After he was head out of PDP, he ran to Labour Party. And it was remarkable, with the Labour Party, he won election twice. He also did very well with Labour social democratic agenda. I was part of the process, and the evidences are there. For you to be re-elected twice, that says that Labour brand is significant, Labour program is significant. And even yours, comrade Lee, me that I'm talking to you, I ran for governorship in Kwara State, and I ran proudly under the Labour Party. It was the alliance between our party and that of ACN that led to the Otoge movement, which produced the dramatic change that we have here, in Kwara State. These are the issues, and we also put labor issues on the agenda. And I'm happy my governor here asked to implement minimum wage, because that's part of the path we reach with him. He shouldn't retrench workers, just the way President Buhari is also doing. In spite of COVID challenges, he retained workers. He wasn't engaging in also neoliberal rationalization, which used to be the tradition. When Obasanjo was there, even when the numbers were in our favor, he was rationalizing retrenching. But President Buhari kept faith. He also agreed on the new minimum wage. Those are the issues Labour should engage upon. So what I'm saying in summary is that it's not paradigm shift. Maybe now we have raised the bar more. Ima, I think I should ask you. You also contested for election, and it's interesting you didn't run under Labour Party. I think it's important that we too should patronize our party. You went to other party. That's wrong. So if you have our party, we should run under it. Why I got the point that you raised, that what is important is to put labor issues on the agenda in the political process. Now, the last quick point I want to raise, Kiri, is that there's a difference between partisanship and engagement of labor in political process. Labor has always been engaged in political process. And I want to salute the NSC, TUC. They've done very well in that respect. If you talk of gender affirmative action, Labour is very strong on that. NSC has long promoted women involvement. So when you see women marching against, what do you call it now, National Assembly, who are denying women participation, trade unions have been doing that. But what is important is that Labour Party is registered, it's a different ballgame. It's a political party that must have its dynamics. And I'm happy now, NSC has resolved the unnecessary friction that they had before. Comrade Abure, as Emma said, also came from trade union movement. So, but Labour, party must run its own logic, because to run for elections, it's a different ballgame. It's not like, it's different from what you do in trade unions. And of course, workers also have the right to join other parties. So it's not really compulsory because it's about participation, right to association. But what I'm happy about is that Nigeria Constitution has allowed Nigerian workers that they shouldn't just be voting cows, people to vote for others. They have the right to be voted for. The late Ganifa Emi, SAN, he did a wonderful job on that. He went to court to make a case for civil servants to have the right to join political process on the condition that they also fulfill on the terms you resign before you run election. But you have the right. It can't be used against you. You can have leave of absence. You can return back to your work. In any case, it's a class issue. If businessmen are in politics, military, they are in politics, bankers are in politics, employers are in politics. Working people have the right to be so. And wherever they have been put in authority, they perform relatively better. Not just in Nigeria. Look at Lula in Brazil. He was a shop floor union activist. If a shoemaker, whatever it is, cobbler, he became president of Brazil. Very popular. Even now, the election in Brazil, it's clear that he may possibly come back in spite of the machination against him. You also know in South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa used to be the founding general secretary of National Union of Mine Workers. Now he became the president of South Africa, even though I know what he went through at the rally in South Africa the day before yesterday. So workers also boo him because they say as a president, in the expression he hasn't delivered. So you may become comrade president, comrade governor. If you don't deliver, unions will check you. And I think that's the beauty of it. But the bottom line is that workers have to know that they must combine the struggle in the world of work with larger society. And the last one is on democracy. Unions have vested interest in consolidating democracy. Regardless of challenges facing Nigeria today, nobody should return us to any other form of governance than the world that people elect people in power. Because we have seen the alternative, worse for Nigeria. The stagnation of Nigeria today, some of the problem we have today, was due to legacy problem we inherited from the military, which democracy is trying to really put in play, because it guarantees freedom of association, freedom of assembly, freedom to assert ourselves, and freedom to even change whoever in office. I'm happy Nigeria has done a series of transitions. Maybe this is the sixth one. We're having one also next year. We have many political parties. Options are clear. Many candidates. I'm very healthy for a democratic process. But what we need to do is to also do quality control of that process. Issues must be put on agenda. It's not just power for power's sake. It has to be power for national development. President Buhari has just launched the new national development plan. All political parties should come to the table and say, how are they keen to the vision contained in that national plan? And this way, Labour Party should make a difference, put issues on the agenda, and NSC and the TUC can also reinforce in that level. So, in summary, I think what is happening currently is possibly NSC has raised the bar more now to return back to the tradition that it used to be, that Labour cannot afford to be apolitical. Workers are not just voters carrying their PVC. They have the right to be voted for, and the right to pursue their own agenda. But, of course, we can't do that if our unions are also not democratic, our unions are not keeping to the traditions. We also don't respect our roots, which largely unions have been doing very well. And I think some of those issues we can bring to the table. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you very much, Comrade Saremo. You raised a number of very critical issues, not just this time around, but when you also spoke earlier. We're going to take a short break, and if we have time, we will interrogate some of the points that have come up. Kieran, I think that we need to also point out that even though the organized labor is truly democratic in the way it runs its affairs, a couple of years ago at the International Conference Center, there was a blowout at the NLC Delegates Conference, and ballot papers, chairs, and other items of furniture were being thrown around as though you were in the market.
I read it earlier on. Their own internal crisis.
Precisely.
And so, now we're talking about managing a nation. Well, let's see how it goes.
I with me, Kieran, and then so they now have to work out an internal arrangement and settle it as a family affair, just as you have in some of the political parties that sometimes that claim that they are the largest in Africa, if not the world. It's Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. We take a short break now. When we return, we still have our three guests. All right, you're welcome back, and it's still Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Let's bring in again Comrade Imam Abuja, who is the General Secretary of the Labour Congress. Yes, Labour has a history of industrial struggle and political struggle and being on the front lines. And now seeking to rejuvenate that history and participation in politics, either playing solo or in collaboration with others. But let's try to address some issues. One, there is a perception in some quarters that pressure groups, such as students and the youth, and more particularly labor, have become prostrate in recent years. How do you rise from that prostrate position when virtually all around, according to this view, nobody has faith in you? How much do you pursue the interests of workers, apart from raising a few fists here and there, on those critical matters? So how do you revitalize that? Plus, what we also know now about Nigerian politics, if there is a change in the narrative, that's fine. Now, political parties are transient platforms. They are special purpose vehicles. What is the guarantee that the Labour movement or the Labour Party will be one such SPV?
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. The truth of the matter is people have tended to push their frustrations in the larger polity and look for a scapegoat, and it's natural. But the truth of the matter is, ordinarily, the trade unions are first and foremost there to advance the interests of their members. That's the primary goal. And when that primary goal becomes very tedious to actualize, like it is in the present day Nigeria, it then makes the larger societal issue to become actually the secondary issue it is. And then when people don't see you leading that because you've been bogged down by the bread and butter issues of a trade union, they then carry the positions they have carried. For our members, it's clear. We have fought, like Comrade Issa mentioned, to get minimum wage. No politician, even when it has become law, they are breaking the law with impunity in the face of everybody. There is a minimum wage legislation, and people who are presiding over the affairs of the country in the subnationals, the states, are breaking the law. And people expect the labor to now become the Nigerian police. It's unfortunate that we condone those that have sworn to uphold our constitution breaking the law, and then you are pounding the victim, that the victim now should be the villain. It beggars belief. But clearly for us, we keep saying it, this struggle continues. We have not failed 1 inch in pushing for what we believe in. We have done the battle for wages. We have done the battle for health and safety. We have waged the battle for larger issues. If not for the struggle of the labor movement, heaven knows we'll be paying 400 naira for a liter of fuel. But people will tell you labor has not fought enough. We cannot take over the government by force. And that is why I said we went back to evaluate what we have done, and we said, look, we need to then get more political. We need to invigorate our advance in that direction, because people will continue to imagine us playing a role where we are not programmed to play. The opposition party will say nothing, the opposition party will lead nothing, and people expect Labour to lead the struggle. But when you call for the struggle, you call out for a mass protest, those who are attacking us the most, we see it as a holiday. They will not come out to the streets. It will still be the same Labour leaders that you see in the streets. Those that have been urging you on will decide to travel to their village that period. If government invites you for a negotiation and they now get caught because the negotiation takes place and you reach an agreement, you have an MOU, they get angry because they've already traveled rather than come to join you in the protest we are proclaiming. That anger of them not having that privilege of a forced holiday for themselves. They then push out, oh, labor has sold that, labor has sold that. We are trained to negotiate. We are trained to engage. We don't carry guns. So you can't invite a labor leader to a meeting and he says, no, he won't go. He would rather be in the streets. It's ridiculous. People went to the ridiculous extent. We said we're going to mobilize to draw attention to the challenge of incessant increase in fuel, which they were pushing to do by February 1st. And the government says we're putting a moratorium on this for 18 months. We won't do it again. People say, no, labor must come out. And I say, are we comedians? What are we coming? The person you want to engage says he's no more going to do it, and you say no. And then when you don't come out on the street, they say labor has sold out. There is nothing like abandonment of critical assignment. And that's why we're saying those that want things done rightly, that know that we suffer it. You don't pay workers, it is us and our families that suffer. The hospitals are not working, it's us and our families that don't have the capacity to go keep our medical records in the UK, in Dubai, in Egypt. It is us. It is us that have confidence in our colleagues, the nurses, to take care of us. It is us that have confidence in our colleagues in the various pharmaceutical companies in Nigeria to produce, because they are our members, they are our workers, and we know they are working. So for us, it's not about the challenge of not doing what we have to do. There are legislations that need to be enforced. It's not for us to enforce. There must be that determination, that political will to enforce them. There are regulations with regards to casual work in Nigeria. Our labor laws are clear. It does not recognize the variant of casualization that is ongoing. It's unlawful. But the powers that should enforce that are not enforcing it. Our law says after 3 months, you must give a worker that has worked consistently for those 3 months the clear conditions of his work. But here, you watch people in the finance institutions, you watch people in the manufacturing sector make a mockery of that provision by looking for imaginary third-party agencies. And that is not our law. Our law does not recognize third-party agencies. You can use third-party agencies to recruit for a principal, but you can't recruit human beings and warehouse them as if they are slaves. And then you'll be assigning 2 people, go and work in NTA today, you bring the salary to me. Our laws don't recognize that, but it's being done in impunity here.
Why don't you go to court to bust these third-party recruitment agencies that are acting as pseudo-employers?
For the provision, the judicial scope is they've taken it away from the regular courts and is domiciled in the NIC. And in NIC, it is about the individual worker and his rights that have been.
There are class actions.
Is going to be an experiment we can do, but we have battled that on even at the ministry level to say you don't give license to people to perpetrate illegality, because there is no such provision. So clearly for us, all these battles are on, but because there are also restrictions, the media, you know, is not in the hands of the working class. It's part of the challenge we have to do. Most of the issues we are taking on don't get publicized the way they should. You will not hear.
But your affiliate unions, NUJ and Ratawo, these are media outlets.
They are workers. They don't own the. They don't own those.
But it is. I mean, it's.
They don't own. They don't own that because they don't own the facility. They are workers in the facility. They are workers in the facility.
So you can add it to whatever you want to say. It appears to me that most of the fights that Labour put out, in different dimensions, have failed in the actual sense of it. There are many states in this country that have never paid the minimum wage you fought for over a year ago. Many of them have not paid, and Labour did not do anything to ensure that these governors pay, and they are leaving power in the next few.
You can't say Labour did not do anything. If you go down the records, you will see the engagement we had against the Kaduna State government. You will see the engagement we had against the Imo State government. You will see our engagement against the River State government.
But these governments have not paid this up to today. They have
like
not
I
been
tell
able
you,
to pay
like
this.
I tell you, the best we can do is just like what ASU is doing. When ASU withdraws its services, people tell you ASU is about strikes. But you will not ask the person who is holding both the knife and the yam, as a traditional spokespersons will say. So, what do you want Labour to do? Labour withdraws its service, and you blame them for going on strike.
One thing is,
and you
when Labour
withdraws, you give the monies to the governors. You don't give the money to Labour.
When Labour withdraws its services,
yes,
and enter into negotiation with government,
yes,
oftentimes what happens is that midway in the negotiation, Labour calls off the strike. And when Labour calls off the strike, the workers begin to believe that, yes, you've called off the strike because you have been, you have compromised.
That's not
right.
true, Kyria. That's not true. You can't be mixing up the issues. That's not true.
That we have been suffering over time. But the truth is this. Some of the points you raise concerning the inability of some of these states' government to pay is true. We agree. And that is why we are saying, look, we cannot continue to complain. We cannot continue to lament. Let's find ourselves in that position. For instance, our institutions in Nigeria, they have all failed. You don't have institutions in Nigeria. From road safety down to
NLC,
environmental, no, leave NLC and TUC alone. From road safety to police to environmental protection agency, name it. There's no institution in Nigeria. And it is because the social fabric has been destroyed completely. And in a situation whereby somebody is at the top there, a road safety man calls somebody and that he has violated the traffic rule, and right there and then he calls somebody, and somebody calls somebody, and they told him, please leave him. Tomorrow, what will you do when you catch somebody and is begging you? Say, oh boy, give me what you have, and go. It starts from there, and those are the things we want to check. It is very easy to blackmail the labor movement, simply because we're out.
Even beyond that, the specificity of negotiations.
Yeah.
You go into negotiations with government, and you sign an agreement. Do you blame the person who has signed an agreement with a supposedly genuine principle? You sign an agreement with the federal government, you then turn around and blame the worker that an agreement was signed? That is rather ridiculous.
Okay.
You sign an agreement with any employer, you expect it to be implemented.
Yes.
If you don't sign an agreement, it's different. When you sign an agreement and the agreement is breached, you now blame the person
okay, that's the point you made. Now, very quickly, Comrade Aremo talked about the mechanisms for political participation, consolidation of democracy, and quality control. Are you going solo? Are you planning to be in alliance or otherwise? I'm asking this against the background of what we know. You mentioned COSATU earlier, that's the Congress of South African Trade Unions, very active in the anti-apartheid days, but it hasn't up to today transformed into a political party. Current President Cyril Ramaphosa was of the NORM, that's the National Union of Mine Workers. That NORM is still in existence, but Cyril Ramaphosa has since moved on. So are you planning an alliance, or you're working on your own? And we also be careful of exaggerating the performance of Labour. Yeah. Frederick Chiluba, Labour activist, president of Zambia, historically he didn't perform well. Solidarity has since collapsed in Poland.
Yeah, the worst Labour government, Labour government will be better than the best APC and PDP government.
No, APC and PDP are not here to respond to what you're saying.
Okay, yes. Okay. So, let me just use now how we are going to operate. Take note, NSCTUC, we have our councils in the 36 states of the Federation, including FCT, and we have up to local government, and we have political commission. We are organizing along that line, up to ward level and unit level. So in the coming weeks, you begin to see certain movement that will be taking place. We have sensitized our members. We have inaugurated the political commissions of TUC, of NSC, in the 36 states of the Federation. In fact, one of those we are going for, when we had that that disaster, that train disaster. Okay? And we have also instructed all the 36 state councils to also extend that to local government and to to various ward level. So now what we are doing now is to put all our register together. We are currently doing a membership registration into the Labour Party. So we have leaders. People are already showing interest. They want to contest.
Okay, okay.
Specifically to
time is no longer on our side.
Just to clear that clearly.
Yeah. To continue this conversation.
We are not averse to collaboration.
Of course.
The best we have had the two clearer examples. Both Adams and Mimiko were products of coalitions. Yeah. So we are not averse to coalition.
Mimiko is a Labour Party.
We have had you, and we are looking forward to seeing an more active Labour Party that may enter into negotiation with other parties to be able to clinch, the presidency. At this point, we'd like to thank all of you for finding time to be with us this morning on Good Morning Nigeria. First, the Chairman, Political Commission, Trade Union Congress, Dr. Ayo Olorunfemi, we would like to thank you. Thank you for being here this morning. And Emma Ubuja, General Secretary, NLC. Emma is also a member of National Institute. Emma, we thank you for being part of our show this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And as always, Comrade Issa Aremu, who, of course, joined us via Zoom. We also would like to appreciate your contribution this morning on Good Morning Nigeria. Thank you, Issa Aremu. Issa Aremu is also the DG of Michael Imodu Institute of Labour Studies. All right.
Let me just add that the challenge for us now for the Labour movement is that as we engage in this political process, as it's like pointing one
program. So please let's take some sporting news.
FIFA has sanctioned 6 African football associations following March 2022 World Cup playoff matches, but not ordered the replays requested by Algeria and Egypt. Instead, Senegal, Nigeria and DR Congo have all been ordered to play one match behind closed doors, as well as been fined. Algeria, Egypt and Morocco have all been handed financial fines by football's world governing body. The list of decisions published by FIFA does not include any instructions for any replays or overturning of results. Algeria had lodged a demand with FIFA for a replay of the second leg loss to Viston Cameroon that saw the Desert Foxes eliminated on the away goals rule. Instead, the only sanction issued by FIFA was a $3,000 fine to Algeria for order and security at matches. Nigeria, who were also knocked out on away goals, were fined $154,000 and must play one match without supporters after their fans invaded the pitch during their second leg in Abuja against Ghana. In athletics, Mo Farah finished second behind surprise winner Ellis Cross as the 4-time Olympic champion returned to the competition for the first time in 11 months at the Vitality London 10,000. Farah, who last raced in June 2021, was unable to outkick Cross, who won by 4 seconds in 28 minutes 40 seconds. Before the race, Farah said it would not make any sense to keep racing if he could not compete at the top level.
This morning, Ellis Cross, the run of his life. He led so much of this race. He must have been thinking, when is Mo Farah going to sprint past me? But no, Ellis Cross cuts the tape. He is the winner here in the 2022 Vitality.
Okay, that's it for us on Good Morning Nigeria today. We do appreciate your being with us on this public holiday. We're back tomorrow, same time, 7 in the morning. Look after yourselves. Enjoy your holiday. I'm Kingsley, your son-in-law.
And I'm Kieran Umayo. Thank you for watching and have a great holiday.